Toxic, phony, hypocrite, liar. That's what she is.
Hedda Muscat was with Ellen from the beginning in 2003 when the talk show was launched.
Sexual misconduct, toxic culture, fostering racism, and bullying are the scandals that The Ellen Show had to face following allegations from former employees.
In power, and I realize that with that comes responsibility, and I take responsibility for what happens at my show.
As a renowned television show that brought together many famous names such as Dakota Johnson and Kim Kardashian, it still couldn't salvage the situation, which was surrounded by controversy. After much debate, Ellen DeGeneres finally admits to the scandal, and fans are witnessing the monumental collapse of one of America's most popular talk shows. Join us as we lift the curtain on the dark scandals behind this television empire. Make sure to stay until the end of the video, as there's plenty of interesting information you definitely won't want to miss. Be kind. The talk show mantra masks a toxic work culture. Ellen DeGeneres has built her worldwide multi-million-dollar brand on the motto, "Be kind," with lavish giveaways and acts of charity. But behind the scenes, current and former employees on her leading daytime show say they faced racism, fear, and intimidation. The downfall of The Ellen Show can be traced back to July 2020, when BuzzFeed News published an investigative report revealing allegations of a toxic workplace environment.
Of rampant sexual misconduct and harassment in the workplace. The new accusations reported by BuzzFeed News come just 2 weeks after
former and current staff accused the show of fostering racism, bullying, and harassment, contradicting Ellen DeGeneres' public persona of kindness. That be kind bullshit only happens when the cameras are on. It's all for show, one former employee said. I know they give money to people and help them out, but it's for show. BuzzFeed News spoke to 1 current and 10 former employees on The Ellen DeGeneres Show, all of whom asked to remain anonymous, fearing retribution from the award-winning NBC daytime talk show and others in the entertainment industry. They said they were fired after taking medical leave or bereavement days to attend family funerals. One employee, who claims she was fed up with comments about her race, essentially walked off the job. Others said they were also instructed by their direct managers to not speak to DeGeneres if they saw her around the office. Most of the former employees blamed executive producers and other senior managers for the day-to-day toxicity. But one former employee said that, ultimately, it's Ellen's name on the show, and she really needs to take more responsibility for the workplace environment. If she wants to have her own show and have her name on the show title, she needs to be more involved to see what's going on, one former employee said. I think the executive producers surround her and tell her, things are going great, everybody's happy, and she just believes that. But it's her responsibility to go beyond that. In a joint statement, executive producers Ed Glavin, Mary Connolly, and Andy Lassner said they take the stories of the employees very seriously. Over the course of nearly 2 decades, 3,000 episodes, and employing over 1,000 staff members, we have strived to create an open, safe, and inclusive work environment, they said. We are truly heartbroken and sorry to learn that even one person in our production family has had a negative experience. It's not who we are, and not who we strive to be, and not the mission Ellen has set for us. For the record, the day-to-day responsibility of The Ellen Show is completely on us. We take all of this very seriously, and we realize, as many in the world are learning that we need to do better, are committed to do better, and we will do better. A Black woman who used to work on The Ellen DeGeneres Show told us that she experienced racist comments, actions, and microaggressions during her 1.5 years as an employee. She said when she was hired, her level producer told her and another Black employee, "Oh wow, you both have box braids, I hope we don't get you confused." And at a work party, she said, one of the main writers told her, "I'm sorry, I only know the names of the white people who work here." And other co-workers awkwardly laughed it off, instead of coming to her defense. When the former employee brought up issues of race and representation on the show and asked producers not to use offensive terms like spirit animal in segments, called her the PC police. When she started to speak up about the discrimination, she said, all of her colleagues distanced themselves from her. Whenever I brought up an issue to my white male boss, he would bring up some random story about some random black friend that he had and how they managed to get over stuff, she said. He would use his black friend as some way to say, I understand your struggle, but it was all performative bullshit. After 1 year at Ellen, she said she asked for a raise after learning another recent hire made double for doing the same job, despite her having worked in the television industry for a decade. Her manager told her they'd see what they could do, but months went by and nothing happened, she said. It's a liar with the be kind mantra. The former employee said she was also called into a meeting with executive producer Ed Glavin, where she was reprimanded for her objections to the term spirit animal, asking for a raise and suggesting employees on the show receive diversity and inclusion training. After the meeting, she left work for the day and never returned to the Ellen DeGeneres show. She said she has no plans to ever work in the entertainment industry again. For years, she felt a fear of speaking out, but is now inspired to share her experience because of recent conversations about race in Hollywood and other workplaces. I feel like I'm not alone in this, she said. We all feel this. We've been feeling this way, but I've been too afraid to say anything because everyone knows what happens when you say something as a black person. You're blacklisted. The former employee also said her manager from Ellen recently reached out to her amid the Black Lives Matter protests to apologize for not being a better ally, but the former employee said, "It's too little, too late. I feel angry about the way I was treated, and I'm always going to stand up for Black, Indigenous, Latino, and Asian people, regardless if they're around," she said. "I can't not say anything. I'm not going to stop talking."
This has gone on way, 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 way too long. People have gotten away with murder. That's what's happening.
There have been rumors for years about DeGeneres being difficult and how many employees feel unhappy. Media reported that employees were distressed and outraged by top-level producers who didn't communicate details about their jobs and pay at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. DeGeneres' former bodyguard also recently said he had had a negative experience with her at the 2014 Oscars, calling the TV host's treatment of others demeaning. "I think it is a lot of smoke and mirrors when it comes to the show's brand," a former employee said. "They pull on people's heartstrings. They do know that's going to get likes and what people are going to go for, which is a positive message. But that's not always reality." After working on the Ellen DeGeneres show for nearly a year, one former employee said they took medical leave for 1 month to check into a mental health facility for a suicide attempt. But the week they returned to work, they were told their position was being eliminated. Some of the producers talk openly in public about addiction and mental health awareness, but they're the reason there's a stigma. They definitely don't practice what they preach with the be kind mantra. Another former employee said they were fired after an unexpectedly difficult year that required them to take time away from the job on 3 occasions. Medical leave for 3 weeks after they were in a car accident, working remotely for 2 days to attend a family member's funeral, and then 3 days off to travel for another family member's funeral. They added that each request was a battle with supervisors and HR. According to employees, there's a division between staff members who work on the show, people who drink the Kool-Aid and are usually well-liked by producers, and people who recognize the work environment is toxic. Those who push back against senior producers don't usually have their contracts renewed, former employees said. They hire people who maybe are inexperienced with how a functional, non-toxic work environment actually is, or someone who just wants to be in that atmosphere so bad that they'll put up with it, one former employee claimed. They kind of feed off of that, like, "This is Ellen. This is as good as it gets. You'll never find anything better than this."
The essence of the special really was totally a lie.
According to former staffers, those who have more likable personality traits, who are willing to work the 10-plus hour days without complaint, and who actively ignore how managers and senior-level producers treat others have been given new iPhones, JetBlue gift cards, and other swag the show keeps on hand from its sponsors. The downfall of The Ellen Show. In response to the backlash, Ellen delivered a public apology during the opening of the show's 18th season, expressing regret, but insisting she was unaware of many issues. Despite the apology, the scandal significantly damaged the show's reputation, culminating in its cancellation in May 2022 after 19 seasons. Years after the Ellen DeGeneres show came to an end, Ellen DeGeneres is getting candid about how toxic workplace allegations made against her affected her mental health. Recently, the comedian addressed the allegations in her final Netflix special, Ellen DeGeneres, For Your Approval. She mouthed thank you to the crowd and declared she was proud of who I've become. When you're a public figure, you're open to everyone's interpretation. And I'm sure you've heard the saying that what other people think of me is none of my business, because people will say all kinds of things and you have no control over that. But you know the truth, and that's all that matters, she said. DeGeneres shared that being in comedy made her care what people think, because it's our only real currency for success. If they like you, you're in, and if they don't, you're out. And I've spent an entire lifetime trying to make people happy, and I've cared far too much what other people think of me. So, the thought of anyone thinking that I'm mean was devastating to me, and it consumed me for a long time, she said, noting that she's gained perspective with aging. After a lifetime of caring, I just can't anymore, so I don't. But if I'm being honest, I have a choice of whether people remember me as someone who was mean or someone who was beloved. Beloved, beloved, beloved. Someone who is beloved? DeGeneres said before adding, I choose that. Although The Ellen Show has been canceled, we cannot deny the influence of this program. Now, let's take a look back at some of the most notable episodes featuring celebrities on The Ellen Show. As the very first guest in 2003, Jennifer Aniston's appearance cemented a strong start for the show. Ellen and Aniston discussed her life while playing lighthearted games, creating a fun yet nostalgic atmosphere. In one of the more touching moments in one episode in 2012, Kobe Bryant played a basketball shoot-off with a young fan, demonstrating the kind-hearted spirit that fans still remember about the late athlete. In 2015, Caitlyn Jenner discussed her personal journey of transitioning, sparking deeper conversations about identity and acceptance, which captivated viewers across different age groups, including older audiences. 2 years later, in 2017, Kim Kardashian shared emotional details about the aftermath of her Paris robbery, discussing how it changed her outlook on life. The candid conversation engaged viewers interested in real-life transformation stories. Then, Dakota Johnson appeared in 2019. One of the most viral and infamous moments in the show's later years occurred during an awkward exchange with Johnson, where she subtly called out Ellen for not attending her birthday party, creating buzz and intrigue among viewers of all ages.